Today we have with us Miss Natalia Calhoun, and around our house, she's known as Miss Natalia. Do you know that we call you Miss Natalia? Everyone in this house.
No, I was like, I wonder if they still call me by Miss Natalia or if they just kind of lost it by now. But
No, it is always Miss Natalia. It used to be Miss Matalia with an M,
right.
but now it's at least Miss Natalia. And the reason for that is because when we first moved here and we didn't know a soul in Florida, our kids had to go to daycare. And we met you through being a teacher there, and you were Miss
Yeah.
Natalia. So that has stuck. And then she went on to babysit for us and our kids. And I remember, I was thinking about this yesterday, when you would come over and do makeup with Faith. And
Yes.
I remember watching some of your very, very early, probably your very first
Oh
makeup
yeah.
tutorial YouTube videos with the sparkly background. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do know they're archived now, but oh yeah. Oh yeah, they're ingrained in my brain pretty hard.
I was always impressed by that. Like, I just thought you did such a great job. I was so
Aw.
impressed by how brave you were just going for something that you loved. And now this has evolved into something much bigger than that. So since
Yeah.
then, you have moved to Wisconsin with your
hmm
husband and two young boys, and you
hmm
are essentially what I consider a self-taught blogger, content creator. You do an amazing job with being authentic and then really showcasing products and being honest about them and making me personally and so many others obviously feel like I can trust anything that you say about the quality, about the fit, and know that what I'm going to get if I order something that you've presented is going to be so good. So tell us, like, that's why we're here. I have so many questions about like how you decided you were going to continue to push into that world. You've grown organically to what, like 13,000 followers at this point in a very quick period of time. So
Yes.
give it to us. Like, give us all the secrets. Tell us how you started, how it evolved, and we want to know it all.
Yeah, so I started actually my accounts back when we were still in Florida after having my first son, Ronnie. I was on maternity leave and I had actually worked as an executive assistant for a consulting firm in Tampa. So I had about 16 weeks off, which was amazing. And I was like, okay, I want to continue with makeup YouTube, but I like sharing my life as a mom. Things have changed, my body's changed. And now I kind of want to dive more into the mom life and finding myself and who I am because once you have a kid, you know that you kind of lose yourself. So I kind of dove into fashion because I felt like I didn't know my body anymore. I didn't know who I was, where my identity lied, and I wanted to feel confident in what I wore no matter what size I was because my body was never going to be the same after having a kid. So I finally just started sharing what I was wearing. I started sharing how I'm kind of stepping into body confidence and being body positive with myself and just started posting. That didn't really do much. I was posting more so on YouTube at the time, fashion hauls, fashion reviews, and stuff like that. Because for me at that time, this was back in 2018, 2019, YouTube was kind of bigger then. It is still a big platform, obviously, but fashion reviews and fashion hauls on YouTube was something that was huge then. It was really easy to grow, really easy to be discovered, I would say. Like your video would come up in search and everything, way easier than it is now. So I just started sharing that. And the niche of plus size, mid size, curvy girls, all that stuff on YouTube was very popular because a lot of women didn't feel represented in their body types.
Yeah.
So I kind of caught it at a good opportunity for fashion on YouTube. And I remember the one video of mine that like went, I wouldn't even say viral, but it got a lot of traction for my size of a channel who only had like 1,000 followers. Was a Walmart fashion try on haul. And I had like 13,000 views. And I was like, oh my God. And it just kept going up and up. And from there, I started gaining some subscribers. And then obviously that would translate to followers on Instagram. And those were the only two platforms that I had at the time. So I went back to work. I had to put my son in daycare and I was kind of just doing it on the side. And after being at work, I don't even know, 2 weeks, the commute was insane with a newborn. And I was like, I can't do this. I have to work closer to my son. I have to be back where we're, located more. So I actually started working back at the daycare. And I just continued to do Instagram and stuff on the side. Really, really wasn't pouring any time into it. And fast forward, I don't even know, about 5 months, we decided to move to Wisconsin for my husband's job. And here I kind of became a stay-at-home mom unexpectedly because we are in a very small town and did not expect to not have daycare options. We
Yeah.
had looked and they told us that we'd be on the wait list only a couple months. Those couple months come by, still going to be on the wait list for a whole nother year. So I became a stay-at-home mom permanently. And I was like, okay, well, this is my time to make something of what I have. So I just started diving in more, during nap time, because at this point I only had one son. And during his nap time at night, I would film my videos, I would edit, I would take my pictures with my lights, even though it's like pitch black outside. I had my two big box lights on me to just make it work. And at that time, I would share more mom life stuff as well. I've definitely kind of stepped back from sharing more about my kids just because the internet is a crazy place. And I just want to give them their privacy too as they grow up. Not all kids want to have their information shared out to the world. As harmless as we see it as just sharing out a fun picture, more personal things like my son had a speech delay and stuff like that. Just sharing those intimate details I really didn't want to share anymore. So I kind of share from a broader standpoint now, like this is what happens as a mom. This is our crazy life. And being very real with it while still keeping their privacy and not sharing too many intimate details. So it's definitely a hard balance to find, but nonetheless, still continue to share fashion and beauty content and just kind of posted whatever I thought would work, honestly. When you are self-taught, it's not like you really know the exact algorithms that are going to be good or time for posting, hashtags. It's really all like throwing spaghetti at a wall and seeing what works. So just posting day, posting at night, using this set of hashtags, not using hashtags, or what kind of content was really sticking more. And for me, my parenting and content stuff like that on stories, like sharing day to day with everyone, what's going on throughout my day is fine. But I realized where I found success was fashion, and posting more of that on my feed. And, just basically like my portfolio was mostly fashion, kind of stepped away from beauty as well, just because I feel more confident sharing fashion. So that is where that all went. YouTube was doing great. And then about, I would say 2 years ago, I actually started my own website because when it comes to Instagram, YouTube, all the other social platforms, we've all seen that they can go to crap in a day.
Right.
No idea who can control what or when things will get taken down. So I finally decided to get my own domain name, my own website, something that I can own forever. In case Instagram goes away one day, I still have an email list that I can email to my, subscribers like, hey, I'm still here. This is what I'm doing today, blah, blah, blah,
I
Thankfully
think
that
that's
hasn't
so
happened.
smart and so
Yeah.
wise to do that, to protect yourself, to protect all of the work that you've put in, to protect
Yeah.
your audience and be able to still reach out to them without a platform necessarily being involved. Because you're
And it
exactly
is.
right. They change overnight and they're so confusing, and you don't want to lose all of that traction and success that you've built up. So
Yeah. And
I've
it is
seen
really
you
important. Yeah.
evolve from makeup to momming to now fashion. And I just think that that's been very interesting to watch, because not only like what works from an audience standpoint, but also how you are feeling in the moment and protecting your kids' privacy. Like, I think that's very insightful to kind of see that transition and that progression and understand the why behind it. It wasn't just driven based off of likes and views. It was a combination of all of that that made you special and made you you. So good job with that. It's been amazing
Thank
to watch.
you.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've kind of always kept in the back of my mind is like, obviously, when someone goes into this and you start making money from it, it's great. And if you can sustain an income off of it, which we have been able to make it a source of income, it's awesome. But at the end of the day, you are sharing your life. It is something more than just like clocking into your 9 to 5 and doing a set of things that your boss has given to you. Like, it's very much personal work. So you never want to force anything. Like, I have never wanted to make a video or post a picture or anything like that. If I feel forced, I just don't do it, because at the end of the day, I'm going to burn myself out. My audience is going to see right through it. Followers can see through bull crap at the end of the day. And I always want to protect my audience and my community that I've built. And I want that trust to always be there. So I mean, a lot of times I just come on and share, like, listen, I'm having a really bad day. My kids are insane. I don't feel good. My husband's working crazy hours. My house is a mess. And like, I feel fine sharing that. Like, I have built a community where I feel like we're family, we're best friends. I
Yeah.
chat in DMs with everyone because other people that I followed before, especially when I first became a mom, I was comparing myself like crazy. Like, how are their houses perfect? They're always decorated. Their kids look great. The clothes are never dirty. Like, I have no idea how they do it. So I decided to unfollow those people to
Right.
stop getting into my own head.
Good for
And I
you.
was like, yeah, I want to be someone that other people can relate to because they're most of the people that we follow online that are huge, millions of followers, all that stuff, they sometimes tend to lose their relatability. And at the end of the day, you're going to really have people who stick with you if people can relate to you. Like, if they start looking at you like a magazine or your house looks like a museum, like, it's not relatable and people aren't going to want to stick around for that. So it's honestly more easy to just be yourself and
Yeah.
just relate to people and show them your everyday life because no one wants to feel like, oh, how do they do that? But I can't do that.
Right. You do an amazing job of that. I love watching your stories. Not that I'm happy that you're having a bad day or struggling, but
Right.
when you do share that, it makes me feel normal.
Right.
It's so relatable and it doesn't make me feel isolated, like, how are your days always perfect? And I just think
Right.
I tell Greg all the time, and I also follow other fashion bloggers and other people that I agree it's always so perfect, it's unrealistic. And I tell Greg all the time, like, she just does it so well, where it is perfect and it looks so great, but then there's also this real side that builds trust. I
Mhm.
believe that I will always get the truth from you with whatever you're sharing that is
Mhm.
income driven, that is product driven, because you're so honest and truthful in the rest of your sharing. And I just think you do
Right.
such an amazing job, which is why
Oh,
we're here.
thank you.
So let me ask a question along that. So like if you're in a funk and you're not feeling good, what motivates you to want to share that? Because like for me personally, if I'm in a funk, I'm not feeling good, I'm crabby, I don't feel like posting that. I feel like my social media and stuff I want to like present. It's hard because how do you find that balance? Because you want to present this positive,
Mhm.
exciting, fun content when you're not feeling good. Like how do you know that it's okay? Like do you have a schedule when you say, hey, I've got to post today, or how do you manage that?
There are days where I just am silent ghost mode. I haven't posted on my stories in 2 days. There's nothing on my feed. And there's just a balance with it too. Like, obviously, if you feel like, holy cow, today's a really bad day. Like, I'm going through it. You may not want to jump on your phone and be like, hey guys, I'm having a really bad day. Just so you know, this is where I'm at. And there's a lot of days where I don't update my stories and stuff like that. But it's just finding that balance. And some people, it's just their personality, right? Like, you may not want to share all of that, in the trenches or super emotional stuff. Like, it really just depends on your personality too. And if you start to force it, you're going to see it too. So it's really just kind of finding your groove in it and just looking at your community as not much as like it has to be polished and professional because that's not real life. Like, obviously our feed can look a little more polished and professional, but day to day in stories, I would just look at it as like you're talking to your friends. Like, that's how I always look at it. And at the end of the day, I always get those messages back like, dang, I thought I was the only one going through a really rough time right now. So it's really just kind of testing out and seeing how it feels for you. But, everyone's different. Everyone deals with stuff differently too. I am very much an open book. Like, I wear my heart on my sleeve. Everyone knows how I feel all the time. But my husband's the same way. He's very much like, I don't want people to know if I'm having a bad day. Like, why would I want to tell anyone that? So it really just depends on your personality and how you kind of deal with stuff. But for me, I just can't not share. I don't know.
Well, and
It's
I've
just my
seen where
personality.
you will maybe disappear for a couple of days and then
Mhm.
you resurface on your story, and maybe you didn't share on those days that you were having a bad day, but you come back and you say, I've been missing. I had a couple of rough days. This is what was going on, but we're
Right.
back in action. Like I'm feeling so much better because X,
Mhm.
Y, and Z happened, or I was able
Right.
to, really hone in on what was happening and address it. And I feel like that's very well done too, and very authentic. There's no like manipulation behind it. It's just like I
Right.
needed a couple days where I'm not dealing, I'm not like present. But when I come
Mhm.
back, I feel like it's appropriate to say, I was missing, I had a couple hard days, because it's helpful. It could help someone
Right.
feel better about their own situation.
If there's ever a day when I had to do like a sponsored post, let's say, or content that was scheduled out where I needed to post it, like I pre-recorded it, but I'm not feeling good that day, I also would post like a story or something right ahead of that and say, hey, I know I've been away for a little bit, or I know I haven't been as present today, but this was just pre-recorded sponsored content. And I'm just honest with my audience, and they know, they're like, yeah, oh, this is your job too, because I've created that very relatable and very what's the word?
Transparent.
Just kind of close, right? Transparent,
Yeah.
close-knit community. So they understand it too, which is just developing those relationships and within your community. And then I just posted it. I'm like, hey, like I have to post this. I'm so sorry, but and then I post it and they all understand. I've never gotten a message that's like, I can't believe you would post a sponsored post right after such and such happened, or blah, blah, blah. It's just, it really
like
is
world
cultivating the community.
issues and,
Right.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Sensitive to that type of thing. So
Right.
that's a great segue. How have you taken this from being something that you just really enjoyed doing and sharing and feeling great about that, to being a stay-at-home mom who really wanted to make an income from it? Like, how have you transitioned into sponsorships and collaborations, and ultimately now a position with your gym where you're their marketing guru? I mean, I just think it's amazing. So can you kind of share
Yeah.
what has happened there?
So a lot of research, a lot of watching YouTube videos, reading articles, just following a ton of people. Like TikTok, you would think wouldn't be the new Google, but I swear to you, it's like the new Google. And so many specialists are out there
Right.
giving you free tips and content and information. So a lot of research, but just looking up like, how do I get paid content deals? How do I even find the right contacts and stuff like that? So there's lots of different engagement groups. Not, I wouldn't say engagement groups. Paid, you pay it to be a part of like a subscription. Basically, there's one that I'm thinking of, but she has like a whole app, and you pay $35 a month, and she has like a whole contact base basically of different contacts for like Target, Abercrombie, all these different things that she's compiled as an influencer herself. She gives you all ton like different kinds of templates for reaching out to brands, how to track your sponsored deals, all of this stuff, like really great information, which is like hard to kind of like, okay, I have to spend money to make money in a sense, because you are a business at the end of the day, and you have to, right, you have to look at yourself as a business. You have to continue educating yourself, and that's just one of my business expenses. I'm paying someone else. Yeah.
Time saver. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And it's only like $35 a month, which is so cheap compared to some of these other people that are out there. But just researching how to reach out to brands and stuff like that. And now, especially, brands want micro influencers. They don't want these influencers with millions of followers, because again, their followers aren't going to relate to them as much, and they're not going to convert as many sales. So it's actually really great to start out as a smaller influencer, because you can kind of use that to your advantage, and having a smaller audience isn't necessarily always worse. You actually tend to have a better engagement rate because you're more connected to your followers. So yeah, just tons of research and just kind of throwing myself out there, pitching myself to brands, getting on all different kinds of
what does your pitch to a brand look like?
So I have a pitch template that actually I got from one of the other influencer groups that I was a part of, and I just send my pitch out there. It's like, hey, my name's Natalia. I am the face behind Natalia Calhoun blog or whatever. And let's say it was Starbucks, for instance, which I would love to have a brand partnership with Starbucks, but we're going to use them as an example.
It's a great, we'll put that out there. Yeah.
Right. I've been such a fan of your coffee, or, I can't live without it. Something where I'm relating to the brand. And it's very short. It's like 3 paragraphs, but like 2 to 3 sentences per paragraph. Next paragraph would be like, this is what I think I can do for you. This is the kind of content I would like to create, giving them a little teaser of the idea that I have. not including, because like for influencers, you always want to have a rate card, what you charge per picture, reel, TikTok, blog post, whatever it may be. I never send that in my first email. I'm always like, okay, how, or what, I can't even remember what it says at the end of it, because I honestly haven't pitched in a couple weeks. I've been so busy with burn, but it's usually like, I would love to know how I can help you. I never want to sound like me. This is all for me. I always want to help a brand at the end of the day, because obviously, why would I just want to make money for myself? I want them to see that this is a good investment for them. So always, right, exactly. And it has to be reciprocated. Otherwise, it's just not going to work out. It's not going to feel genuine. But yeah, ending that off with like, how can I help you? Waiting for an email back. And honestly, lately, nothing. I haven't been getting anything back from brands. It has been dark, like so bad lately. But I've talked to other influencers, and it's just this time of year where they're kind of ramping up for holiday season. So they're super busy on that end, and they start reaching out October, November, really, for those big Q4 trying to get rid of their budget campaign deals, which are actually the best ones. So it's also kind of that like tug and pull of like, this is really hard right now. At the end of the day, you are self-employed. It's sales in a sense. So you can have those months where you have great partnerships, but there's other months where it's like, holy cow, what am I going to do this month? So it's a lot of, when you're self-employed, you really have to budget out how your income is coming in, what you're going to be spending each month, which is like a whole nother topic of being self-employed, especially as an influencer. It just is such an ebb and flow. But yeah, I don't know if that answered your question.
It does. And I think you said a couple of things there that like really stuck out. I think the micro influencer thing, I just saw something on that with, I think, Charlie D'Amelio talking about how like she hit the TikTok scene right when it was like you go viral and then viral after that. And now it's more like you may have a viral TikTok and then you just right back down to 50 views, and it's just not the way that algorithm works anymore. And
yeah,
micro influencer thing is a completely valid, like major thing right now for relatability, for different audiences. I mean, how many more people can you capture by having so many micro influencers versus one like major, whoever they are these days, James Charles or whatever, like I'm so out of that piece. The other thing that I wanted to ask about is like with regard to budgeting and paid sponsorships, like when you do a Target haul, for example, do you go to Target, spend your own money on Target clothes that you would just buy anyway and then just showcase them? Or does Target like send you a box of like, here's what we're trying to sell this quarter, this month? How does that work?
It can work all those ways. So it really just depends. For like Walmart in specific, I haven't done a sponsorship with them since last summer, but when I did do a sponsorship with them, they give you their, this is what we're going to pay you. This is what we can offer you. If I accept that, some brands will include a budget separate from what they're already going to pay you for clothes. And they say, this is what you can spend. Go ahead and buy what you want. Some brands will send you 4 to 5 pieces, whatever it may be. I've noticed with like smaller boutiques, like they will send me their clothes for free and then pay me on top of that. Or if you're just starting out and you're like wanting to build a relationship with a brand, you may just do a gifted sponsorship with them at first to show them that like, okay, this can work out. I know I'm going to sell your clothes. Here are my numbers after, these are my stats, my analytics after the haul that I did. Now let's talk about a paid sponsorship. Or you can do it like most of my stuff is all paid by me. I do everything out there. I go to the store. At first when I started out, I would do a lot of in-store try-on hauls. I would just go into the dressing room, and that way I'm not spending any money. I'm just kind of make that content. When you're starting out, it's kind of what you have to do if you don't want to spend a ton of money on clothes that you maybe don't necessarily need, but you do want to kind of try to sell them because there's always someone looking for something out there anyways. Or you can do a mix of both. A lot of times I just place a huge order online because our stores in a very small town are not great. There's not a lot of selection. So I have to place a huge online order usually. And I share everything and I just let people know this is what I'm keeping, this is what I'm returning, this fit, this didn't fit. And I'm very honest with what I keep and what I return. Yeah.
I love watching.
So people aren't like, oh my God, you just bought 20 things and you kept all of them. Like, no, not realistic.
Right.
So yeah, lots of different ways to do it. But definitely can be paid for them. You can be sent clothes, or you just spend your own money. And at the end of the day, too, tying it back to being a business, that's a business expense. Whatever you do keep, because you did feature it as, something to do with your content, that's all a business expense at the end of the day when it comes like tax time, which I will have to invest in an actual tax accountant this year now that my stuff has grown.
Awesome.
But
great problem to have.
It's a good thing, yeah. But you have to collect all your receipts, be very organized with all of that. Otherwise, taxes are just like any other business going to be a pain.
Yeah. So, quick question. I remember when like Amazon influencers were like a brand new thing. And if you looked into it, you had to have X amount of followers to even be considered. Is that still the case with the brands across the board? Or since it's now more of a micro influencer approach, are they less concerned about how many followers you have, or can you speak to that at all?
So it just really varies brand to brand. I will say, just from what I've heard and just talking to different influencers of different audience sizes, it really just depends on your engagement rate at the end of the day, because they don't care if you have 100,000 followers if only 1% of your audience is going to engage with you, which is why, again, it ties back to having a smaller audience gets you a better engagement rate. So if you have 3,000 followers and your engagement rate is 10%, that's amazing compared to someone with even 10,000 followers and a 2% engagement rate. It really just depends on how much of your audience is being engaged. So that's really the big thing that brands look at now. When it comes to each brand, like Amazon, for the influencer program specifically, I was accepted so long ago. It was back in 2020, actually, and I just started utilizing it because it kind of picked up within the influencer field and industry more this year. But back in 2020, I only had like 4,000 followers maybe on Instagram, and probably like 8,000 on YouTube. So there wasn't really a threshold for it. So I would always apply to those programs no matter what. I'm pretty sure you can apply for, that one. And then the other way, obviously, is through people shopping affiliate links. So anytime someone shops through that link, not just clicking on it, but actually placing an order, I would get a percentage of that whole order if they used my link. So if I tagged something,
whether you're associated with the brand or not, you literally just sign up for that program. You share whatever it is that you're wearing, even if it's not necessarily like a try-on haul, and you give a link that someone like me can click on, and it would pay you a portion or a commission off of that link sale.
Right.
Awesome.
Right. Or you link anything that you want. I could literally post, I don't know, my frame or my candle holder up there and post it. I'm like, hey, if you want to shop this, here's the link. They tap through that. If they actually place an order, let's say it was Target, that's from Target, right? You want to buy that, but then you also place a grocery order. You place some stuff for your kids, bathroom stuff, whatever. Your order's like $500. If you used my link to place that order, I would get a whole commission off of your whole order. Really? Which is amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm certain that many people don't know that to be the case, for sure.
That's amazing.
Right.
Yeah. I have one more question about analytics. So you mentioned about like presenting yourself to brands and knowing your analytics, knowing, what you sold, and I have two more questions, but this is one. How reliable is that through the actual platform that you're using? And how do you keep track of that? Like, that seems like a full-time job to me from a data collection standpoint, but it probably isn't.
So honestly, I do it the hard way. I calculate it myself, because when you do have a smaller follower account, your engagement rate does hold more weight. So instead of in my media kit is basically just like an about me, like this is what I do, these are the brands I've worked with, this is my follower account, my engagement rate, all of that kind of stuff. I present my engagement rate instead of my follower account because my engagement rate is higher. So it's a formula. I have it saved on my computer somewhere, but it's like you go through your last, 10 posts, you go through your likes, you add those all up, you go through the amount of posts that you've done. So 10 with the likes, you do this whole formula and it spits out the engagement rate. And that's what you would do every time, you want to present yourself to a brand if it has changed over the time of you presenting one to the other. And I just update it in my media kit frequently. But I just utilize the analytics that are on like Instagram's platform. It'll show you this day you could post at this time or whatever. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah.
That I don't really trust, because you could post at any random time of the day on Instagram and it'll be great. And then you pick the time that they tell you to, and it does absolutely horrible, because Instagram is just a really hard app to grow on right now.
Sure.
So yeah.
Well, and I've noticed too that like I might not see somebody's post until I'll see it and it's 2 days later. So how do they know if I'm supposed to post at 3 o'clock that whoever's going to see it sees it at,
Yeah.
at the right time? It doesn't make sense, but
Yeah, Instagram's a beast in itself. I would say TikTok is harder to grow on than it was. Like last year, especially, my TikTok blew up. Like I had 33.9 on there from last year. And then only this year, I haven't been focused as much on it because it just was something that I was kind of putting on the back burner. I was focusing on Instagram too much, which kind of hurt me because I should have been really nurturing my TikTok platform. But I haven't grown nearly as much this year, but I have grown way more on Instagram because of the whole Reels thing. They are pushing Reels all the time. They don't want photo content anymore, which is, I actually like video content more. It's more fun for me to create. I think just because I grew up on YouTube and I love YouTube kind of video content. So yeah, but TikTok, I would say definitely spend the time to create content on there, because if you're super consistent on there, it is going to be easier for you to grow. However, not just waiting for a viral video. Like your audience on TikTok is just more engaged because it is more of a personal platform than Instagram. So although you may get less views on TikTok, your audience is just more engaged on there for whatever reason. Instagram's just not great right now.
Sure. Well, that was going to be my next question, was about all the platforms. So like I know YouTube Shorts is like a newer thing, and all of them require, well, it depends on what you hear, right? Some people will share like, well, this platform wants this, and this is a sweet spot for this platform. And honestly, like, who has time for that? So how do you discern like, okay, I have this 60-second reel that I posted on Instagram. I also want to post it to TikTok. Do you post the same thing? Do you save it from Instagram and then throw it over to TikTok? Or is it just on your phone and you put it on separately? Like, how much time does that take, and how have you managed doing that and utilizing all the platforms so that you're not really missing anything? But like YouTube Shorts is like 15 seconds. Like, what can you even do in 15 seconds, So
right. And YouTube, I haven't posted on YouTube in months. Like I just don't utilize YouTube anymore because I wasn't seeing the return on it. So I had to think at the end of the day, the time that it takes to film the video on an actual camera, export that to my computer, go through and edit all of it was way too many hours for the very little amount of views that I stopped recording stuff on YouTube and I just utilize TikTok and Instagram. And then obviously I have my website, which I should utilize more to actually make physical blog posts. It's just very weird to think about making a blog post in the age of Instagram and TikTok.
Right. Yeah. I saw something on that too. Like, is the blog dead? And it's like, well, no, it's not. And for the very reason that you said, that if one of these platforms decides we're done tomorrow or changes how they do things, you still have all of that you've shared and created. So on that, do you share directly to your website what you would share to Instagram? It's not from Instagram to your website. It's like literally each different platform gets its own share. Is that right? Am I saying that correctly?
You're right, because if, let's say TikTok, you made a video on TikTok, it has the TikTok watermark on it. Instagram hates it. For some, I don't know how their system knows with technology or whatever. They know that it's on there and they don't want to push that out to their platform because they see TikTok. They just want Instagram. And then if you post your Instagram reel with the Instagram watermark on TikTok, then you also have the other watermark going over it. It doesn't look as good. And I've noticed that it just doesn't do as well either on that platform. So it is either if you created the video in TikTok, there is a little hack. You can go in and like preview it without posting it, and then you screen record that, crop it down. And then
Faith taught us to do that. Our 17-year-old, she knows what's up there. So we have her in our back pocket. We're older and slower.
Do you post like for me, I'll post like a 60-second drum, solo on Instagram reel. and then I'll go over to TikTok and post the same thing on TikTok because I don't have the same audience on either platform
Right.
currently.
Yeah.
Is that a bad practice, or
No,
how do you
I
do it?
wouldn't say so. I definitely use the same content on each platform because you're exactly right. You don't have the same audiences, and TikTok again might just like blow up one day, and or
Yeah,
Instagram, your reel might take off. You just really never know. Especially with trending sounds, hashtags, all the different things that you can use for SEO purposes also. One might just blow up and the other one might not. So I totally just I don't necessarily cross post as in like one automatically shares to the other. I definitely post individually
yeah,
on each platform. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's a bad practice at all. I would say posting on TikTok though, like more so if you're not posting that same content on Instagram. Let's say you don't want to blow up your Instagram feed or whatever. It's more normal to post on TikTok like 4 times a day, no matter what it is. You're just
okay,
like popping on. You could be super casual on TikTok. The app definitely favors you posting more, but I've seen on Instagram, I don't know what it is. They want everything perfect. You have to post at a certain time. You have to figure it out. The algorithm on Instagram is like impossible. But using trending sounds can help. So, like, if for my stuff, I know with your drumming stuff, it's kind of harder because you want your music to be the sound, obviously.
yeah,
So, you're not using trending sounds. So, it's kind of harder for me to speak to that. But, like, with my stuff, if I'm just doing a try on, obviously I need some kind of music going on or whatever. I can look up trending sounds and find out what has it's trending, but it doesn't have a ton of videos. So I'm more likely to get seen if someone were to click on
Where do
that
you
sound kind
find
of
that?
thing. So that is just looking through. I do it the hard way and I will just go through reels myself. But when you go onto Instagram and you see reels and you see the sound, if it has a little up arrow right to the left of the sound, that means it's trending.
Gotcha.
Now, TikTok doesn't have that feature where you can see the little trending, like Instagram telling you that it's trending. But it's kind of just going in the sound. Okay, there's like 20,000 people that have used the sound. Probably a good chance that you'll get seen in that compared to like a million people using that sound.
Same idea with
So,
hashtags. What's your thought on hashtags? Like
right.
smaller hashtags for smaller accounts? Are hashtags even relevant anymore? Like what have you seen?
Yes and no. So I've still been trying to figure out hashtags on Instagram. TikTok, definitely. I use tons of hashtags, whether there's a ton of people in them or not. Instagram, you don't want to use a hashtag that's like only 100 people posted in there because a lot of people aren't searching that hashtag.
Sure.
But you also don't want to be in a huge group where it's like 500,000 or more when you're a small account. You know, if you're a bigger account, that doesn't really matter. People are going to see you no matter what. But I try to stick to anywhere from like 10,000 to 100,000 for people using that hashtag.
Oh,
That's just kind of what I've stuck to. Is there any real evidence that shows it works?
who
No,
knows,
but
right?
that's just kind of, yeah, I haven't really mastered hashtags. But with Instagram now and TikTok as well, they like a lot of the searchable words for SEO purposes. So if someone is searching mid-size fashion or summer outfits, anything like that, on my Instagram caption, I do my whole caption. I leave a couple spaces. I add in a lot of keywords, fashion, mid-size, size 12, whatever I need in there. I do about 10 of those. And then I do my hashtags underneath of that to get both kind of search engine stuff things going on in
So
there.
two separate and distinct ways to approach that.
Right.
Keywords and hashtags.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and keywords are definitely bigger now than hashtags are, I feel, because some people don't even post hashtags and they just use their keywords in there and their stuff blows up. And then on TikTok, though, hashtags, I just kind of go at it and I'm very descriptive with my caption on there because it used to be very limited characters on TikTok captions, but now I think they either got rid of the limit or you can kind of just do whatever. So I make a very descriptive caption like, this is my Amazon sweater that I found, you know, any other descriptive words that people would be searching, like Amazon finds, Amazon haul. Just try to think of the things that you would look up as a consumer too. And that's just what I've kind of done. I could definitely do more research on that. It's definitely a pain point for me, but that's just what I've done for now.
Sure.
There's always something to work on, right?
Definitely.
I have one last question. I know I already said that probably 3 times, but when you talked about posting on TikTok, very casually 4 times a day. Do you mean like actually post on TikTok, or is that like the TikTok stories, like an Instagram story, or like what do you mean by that?
So yeah, you can post, you can do either. TikTok stories are a thing now, but you can't link anything in TikTok stories. It's a very new feature. I haven't utilized them yet, but my other blogger friend, she actually gets way more views on her TikTok stories than she does her Instagram stories. So she's kind of testing it out and just trying to build that audience. But with posting like a couple times a day just on your actual TikTok feed, because the algorithm wants to see you posting on their platform more. So
Yeah,
it's going to favor you.
that
Yeah.
makes sense. Well,
Mhm.
this has been so insightful. We appreciate it so very much. I think that what I take away from this the most is that it's all about connecting with your audience, no matter how big or how small, researching things that will help you figure out what works, but then really just trying to find out what works on your own and catering to
Mhm.
that connection back to the audience. Like just all
Right.
cyclical, tying it all back together. And honestly, I follow so many people that I study. Like I literally probably
Yeah.
follow more people that I study than I do that are like my real life friends and family.
I know.
And
Yeah.
you are one of my favorite because you just do it
Oh.
so well. So I mean that from the bottom of my heart here. You have just
Aw.
been amazing to watch. I am just rooting for you all the time. I talk about you all the time. Like I am a super fan and I really,
Oh,
really
you're so
appreciate
sweet.
you doing this today.
I'm an open book. I don't look at it as like giving away like a secret or anything like that. Like for me, I don't like to gatekeep. I learned from getting free information from everyone. I am more than happy to help.
Greg just gave a speech a couple of weeks ago and he opened with, we can only keep what we have by giving it away. And I feel like you just captured that essence in real life really well because it's true. Like we all learn from someone else. If we keep it
Yeah,
all to ourselves, it stops there. But if we share what we've learned from someone else's success or failure, it helps someone else. And I think that's beautiful. Like that's what it's all about. So thank you.
definitely.
Thank
There's
you.
room for all of us to grow.
That's
Yeah, there
right.
you go.
That's right.